Hello there. I know you must have been wondering on what strategies to use while answering tests on comprehension passages. Well, worry no more, because on today's episode of Prep Class Study Acts, I will be providing you with some strategies to use while answering comprehension passage tests. So, without wasting much time, let's get down to the business of the day. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to this channel, turn on the post notification so you can be notified whenever we upload any new content. Alright, let's begin. First, what is the meaning of comprehension? The word comprehension means the ability to understand, the ability to comprehend what you have read or listened to. So, whenever you pick up any material and whenever you read it, the ability to understand, to comprehend what is written in that material, or whenever you listen to what somebody says, the ability to understand what that person is saying is comprehension. Okay, so what is the essence of comprehension tests? Now, a comprehension passage test or exam is given in order to test learners' understanding skills. A comprehension passage test or exam is given in order to test learners' understanding, learners' comprehension skills. So, when given a passage, you are expected to read the passage. Now, reading the passage is not enough. You are also expected to understand the passage. Now, understanding the passage is not enough. You are also expected to use the information gotten from the passage. You are expected to use the information gotten from the passage, that is, direct information or inferred information, to answer the questions that follow. Direct information is any information that is clearly stated in the passage. Inferred information is information that is required for you to provide. It is not clearly stated in the passage. Okay, so moving on to the forms of questions in comprehension passages. Now, comprehension passage questions can come in 1. The multiple choice form. That is, where you are expected to select the best option as the answer to a question. The multiple choice form. A question that has about 4 or 5 options, where you are supposed to select the best option that will be the answer to a question. Now, the second form is in the sentence form. That is, where you have to write out your answer to the question. Here, no option is given. You are expected to write out your answer to the question from the information gotten from the passage, either directly stated or inferred. Okay, moving on. Now, the strategies for answering comprehension passage questions. Number 1. The first effective strategy to answering questions on comprehension passage is timing. The first effective strategy to answering questions on comprehension passages is timing. For some passages, you might be given 30 minutes or more, or even less, to answer all questions. So, you must be able to budget your time appropriately. Let's say you have 30 minutes to read, understand, and answer 10 questions on a comprehension passage. You must know that you have approximately 3 minutes to spend on each question. So, the first effective strategy to answering questions on comprehension passages is timing. Okay, the second step is, if you are a very fast reader and you have a very fast comprehension rate, then I would advise that you read the passage quickly to get a comprehensive idea of what the passage is all about. You have to read the passage quickly to get a comprehensive idea of what the passage is all about. Now, this is if you are a very fast reader or you have a very fast comprehension rate. While reading the passage, underline or circle keywords and expressions. Underline or circle keywords and expressions that points to who, that is, names of people, that points to where, names of places, that points to when, time, that points to why, reason and causes, that points to how, in what manner. Because the questions in comprehension passages come in this form. Who did this? Where was this done? When did they do this? Why was this done? And how was this done? So, circle or underline keywords and expressions that points to who, where, when, why, and how. Okay, moving on. The next tip is, if you are still developing your reading and comprehension skills, then do not read the whole passage. If you are still developing your reading and comprehension skills, do not read the whole passage. Just skim through the passage. Now to skim, you have to just read the headings, read the subheadings, and then read the topic sentences. Read the headings, read the subheadings, and then read the topic sentences. When you have read all of this, you will have an idea of what the passage is about. Okay, moving on to the next strategy, which is after reading or skimming the passage, go through the question section and start by answering the easiest questions. When you start by answering the easy questions, you will spend lesser time on them, which will provide you with extra minutes when you get to the more difficult questions. So always answer the easier questions first, so you would have more time when you get to the more difficult questions. By doing this, you would have answered some questions that you know, and you would have earned yourself some points. But if you start with the difficult questions, you will spend excess time on them, and you might not even get the correct answers to those questions. So by doing this, you lose points to the difficult questions and also the easy questions, because you don't have time to answer them, because you have spent excess time on the difficult questions. So always answer the easy questions first. Answer the easier questions first, because you will spend lesser time answering the easier questions, which will provide you with extra minutes when you get to the more difficult questions. Alright, moving on to the next strategy. Now, the next strategy is read each question carefully to understand. Read each question carefully to understand. Sometimes when we are in a hurry or due to exam pressure, we tend to miss the point of the question. So we get a wrong understanding of the question, which will then result in providing a wrong answer. I'll go over that again. Sometimes when we are in a hurry or due to exam pressure, we tend to miss the point of a question. So we get a wrong understanding of the question, which will then result in providing a wrong answer. Remember, comprehension passages are set to test our understanding skills. So we must understand not just the passages, but also the questions. So we have to read each question carefully to understand the question. If you don't understand the question, you will actually provide a wrong answer to the question because of a wrong understanding of the question. Okay, moving on to the next strategy. Now, underline keywords in the question. Underline keywords in the question. As there are keywords in the passages, there are also keywords in the questions. Keywords always tell learners what the focus of the question is. Keywords always tell learners what the focus of the question is. So, when reading the passage, you look out for the keyword or its synonyms. So, when reading the passage, you look out for the keyword or keywords or its synonyms. Alright, let's take an example. Now, state the writer's original theory. Now, this is an example of a comprehension question. State the writer's original theory. Now, the keywords in this question are state and theory. The keywords in this question are state and theory. The focus of this question is to state. What are you to state? The writer's theory. Now, let's read the passage. One of the puzzles to which I had no solution as a child was how my cousin could seal an envelope with his saliva. Each time he wrote a letter for my illiterate father, he merely ran his tongue over the inner edge of the flap of the envelope, folded it, and then sealed it, just like that. In my puzzlement, I tried the same trick repeatedly with 2 pieces of paper, but my saliva failed to hold them together. I then theorized that my cousin's saliva was gummy. Now you can see that the keyword theory has been repeated here as theorized. So the keyword will point you to where the answer to the question is. I then theorized that my cousin's saliva was gummy. Let's continue. If that was so, why wasn't mine? My studied research for a solution led to the very sound conclusion that my cousin's saliva was gummy because he was the only educated man in the family. By extension, I reasoned that all educated people had sticky saliva. Remember, the key words in this question are state and theory. Also, The keywords are to point us to where the answers can be found in a passage. Now, the keyword theory has been repeated here. I then theorized that my cousin's saliva was gummy. So we have to state the writer's original theory. So, going by the repetition of the keyword in the question and in the passage, the answer to this question is the writer's original theory was that his cousin's saliva was gummy or sticky. Alright, moving on to the next strategy. Be patient. Don't rush to finish the questions. Take your time to answer the questions, going by how well you have budgeted your time for each question. Be patient. Don't rush to finish the questions. Take your time to answer the questions, going by how well you have budgeted your time for each question. Remember that you will be answering the easier questions first, and you will spend lesser time on these questions. So you will have extra time to spend on the more difficult questions. It is better to spend time to answer the questions you know correctly than to rush over every question and end up missing points that you should have gotten. Okay, moving on to the next strategy. After you are done answering each question, after you are done answering every question, go over them again to check for errors. Probably some errors might arise from a wrong understanding of the question. When you go over them, you can actually correct those errors. So, whatever kind of errors that you might have made in your answers, go over them again to check and correct those errors. And finally, the best way to get better at answering questions of comprehension passages is to read extensively. This will expose you to more vocabularies. It will also increase your reading and assimilation pace. So, always read extensively prior to exams, prior to comprehension tests. Read extensively to increase your vocabularies and also to increase your reading and assimilation pace. Right, and with that, we've come to the end of today's wonderful session of Prep Class Study Hacks. Do not forget to subscribe to this channel, turn on the post notification. If you enjoyed this video, like this video, drop your questions in the comment section. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.